Well, I figured, well, why not do a quick live before I call it a night and go to bed here? Um, yeah, I felt the need earlier to make a post about China and about the threat that they really pose to us as a nation state, but more just to our very existence. Not only because of all the insidious things that they do and have done and will continue to do, but also because I don't think people are still grasping the fact that hey, Rebecca, you know what? I'm gonna make you a moderator. I haven't seen you in forever, but I'm gonna make you a moderator. You know what I stand for? No, no, no trolls, no smart ass type stuff, none of that. But anyway, yeah, I just felt the urge to come on and talk about this because it's important. I had to make a post about it because I don't think people are grasping the absolute 100% unadulterated fact that China and Russia indeed are the biggest threats that we face, especially China in their case. And for all the reasons listed, and then some, is why they're a massive threat. You see, they, yeah, exactly, Rebecca, same as that. Hi, Miriam. Hi. Yeah, I've seen her video, and I look, that's all fine and well, but I feel like sometimes like I'm the only man doing what a man should do, and I'm willing to put forth my effort and even some money if I have to put up money to do this, but I'm not even doing a live about that. Miriam, I'm just doing an important live. It's strictly business. I don't even want to talk about that other stuff anymore, but people are trying to say, oh, no, you shouldn't do anything about it. Look, don't tell me how to handle my business. I'm the only one manning up. I'm the only one willing to make like a serious effort here to make an example of somebody who's doing wrong, and I'm bent on doing it, and that's just the way it is. That's how it's going to be, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to be a man. Did David put down a sling and say, "Oh God, you kill Goliath for me"? No, he picked up his sling and God helped him do the rest. Same with the rest in the Bible. You can't expect God to do everything for you. You have to stand up and you have to take initiative. You have to show initiative. You have to initiate and do things, and God will meet you halfway. It's like, with storing the grain. Joseph, stored the grain and God stretched it out. He met him halfway. Noah built the ark. God met him halfway and shut the door and made sure he, survived the flood. You got to understand, you can't just sit back and have a lame cop out like, oh, let God do it for you. No, no, God expects us to man up and be men and do man things. So that's the way it is, and that's how it's going to be. And I'm not going to hear anything else of it. So I'm pretty much done with that. Like I said, I'm going to handle it on my own time, at my leisure, and that's just the way it's going to be. I don't even want to really even talk about it anymore. I'm done with it. I'm not done with it, but you know what I'm saying. I'm done with it on YouTube. I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to take care of it like a man. I'm going to teach people a lesson, and any would-be's. So yeah, they're going to be paying me a lot of money. But other than that, I wanted to do this because, again, I'm not talking about nothing but business here. This is about China and the threat they pose to us. Also, you can kind of lump Russia in with that, but not as much as China, obviously, for all the reasons I've listed in my post, that, China has the most powerful, biggest, most technologically advanced, most highly trained and motivated military the world has ever seen or known right now, and has for the last 5 years. It's irrefutable fact. So, you got China sitting over there building, fractional orbital bombardment systems, which means that they launch a rocket, up into the upper atmosphere, and then a hypersonic glide vehicle shoots out of that, circumnavigates the world. It doesn't matter if it's round or flat. It still goes around the world, and then it hits its target. There's nothing there. There's no defense for that. There's not even defense for the current hypersonics. But then you have the fractional orbital bombardment system, which I've talked about it before. They've launched their Long March rocket, which is actually a weapons test for their FOBS system, their fractional orbital bombardment system. Now, China has this. This is a very, very potent weapon system for as far as deploying any sort of nukes. Even I mean, I guess if you wanted, you could deploy a conventional warhead. But I mean, but if you're deploying nukes like that, that's an extremely advanced type of weapon. They have missile cloaking. They can cloak their missiles. They can cloak them from view. They can cloak them from IR. They have paint, and they have the stealth material like they use on those body stealth suits. They can put those on missiles. They can also put IR paint underneath that. They can cloak their missiles, you guys. It's not like they can't hide them. Every bit like planes cloak their signature, like stealth aircraft. It's the same concept, but with a missile. So, you got China doing all that. You have them sitting over there with what is right now the most powerful military the world has ever seen or known. It doesn't even matter that they right now have less aircraft carriers. The age of the aircraft carrier for power projection is obsolete. They have missiles that can destroy all our aircraft carriers, really our whole Navy. They have submarines that can do it. Again, I'm going to cite the example of the French nuclear sub, the Saphir, that single-handedly sunk an entire American carrier group in an exercise. Had they been using live torpedoes, they would have sunk the whole carrier group. So think about that. China has a bigger subfleet than we do right now. It's by a few more subs, but they're continuing to crank out subs because China is just an industrial behemoth. They have 1,200 shipyards. We have 4 dedicated military shipyards, but China at will is set up to where they can convert their shipyards to produce military ships at will as per their civil military fusion doctrine. If people don't understand the gravity of that, then it might be too late when they finally figure out how powerful China is because of what they're capable of, what they're actually doing right now industrially, and just the sheer scope and scale of their war production is it's crazy. It's insane. I mean, they're cranking out all sorts of vehicles and ships and everything because they produce 1 billion tons of steel annually. So, you have China over there doing that. And, nobody's talking about what China's capable of and doing in the West because, hey, California Prepper, great to see you. Nobody's talking about that in the West because the West is so narcissistic and fixated on itself. And, even Western truthers are looking in the wrong places. They think that, these Western elites are, something that they're not. Look, they don't control the entire world, and I've proven that time and time again with solid facts, and with dot connecting between the facts. I've proven that these Western elites don't run the world. The World Economic Forum should be called the Western Economic Forum. Because it's only controlling the Western bloc. It's not controlling the whole world. There are Eastern elites with a whole separate set of plans and agendas that have nothing to do with the Great Reset that's never ever going to happen because they tore their own power base down. They castrated themselves. And for it they're going to get their judgment by their own hands, by what they've done to themselves. When God judges a nation, he judges it from its highest elite all the way down to its lowest bum. And that includes these Western satanic banking elites. You think they're going to escape judgment? No. Yeshua Messiah said that to the Pharisees. He said, how do you think you're going to escape, the damnation of hell? How are you're a nest of vipers, I mean, I may not have said that correct verbatim, but I mean, that's the gist of it. How are these elites going to escape their damnation that they've created for themselves? They're not going to escape it. Look, China doesn't give a rat's ass about the West or its elites or what they want. They don't care about the World Economic Forum. In fact, they've been trying to actively subvert it, okay? Because look, in the West, they're doing this woke, mamby-pamby stuff. They're doing this green energy garbage that is destroying the economies of the West. And they're doing like the zero carbon, all this garbage that they're doing in the West. And they're weakening their militaries and cutting everything apart. You don't see China or Russia doing any of those things. You don't see them doing any of those things. That alone, in and of itself, is evidence. It's evidence that there's a separate set of elites, just that they're not even part of the plans of the West, and they're not doing the things that the West is doing. That is solid, rock solid evidence that there's two entirely different sets of elites. It's also evidence that the sanctions backfired, that they backfired, that they tried to do to Russia. And also that the Evergrande thing is really only going to affect Western investors. It was weaponized. I believe that China did that on purpose. Why? Because China has the biggest gold deposits on Earth, and they're the most controlled country on Earth, apart from North Korea, maybe. So when they're having bank runs in China, it's because it's being allowed to happen. So, that's... Oh, everybody's gone. That's okay. I don't see... Oh, wait. Y'all are still here? No, it says I have nobody. So they're doing. Oh, I got one person again. Okay, they're doing bank runs in China. So why would that be? It's because that they've weaponized the banks, because they're allowing it to happen. Why? Because they're tied in with the SWIFT system still, and they want to hurt the West. They're doing that on purpose. Oh, okay, good. Hey, I'm glad y'all are still here. It said I had 0 people in there. Now it says I got 1 person. It's crazy. Yeah, I think YouTube's just, gone insane lately. I don't know what's going on with it. But anyways, I'm going to get back to my monologue here. It's important. But yeah, they're doing all these things. They've weaponized trade even. They've even weaponized trade. Shanghai is the biggest trading port with the West in all of China. On all of China, that is their #1 trade port with the West. All the little games they played there, they were just games. They were games to shut down trade, to hurt us, to basically deprive us of finished goods and components of goods and medicines and everything else. There's a lot of pharmaceuticals that come from China. Guess what? Without those, a lot of people are going to die. You got heart medicines and other types of medicines that are vital to people's lives. So you've got to understand that China and Russia are tag teaming us right now in different ways, because they're ruled by a different set of elites. They are not part of the World Economic Forum or any of that. Putin is a KGB man by nature. He's a spy by craft, by trade. He went in there to the WEF, pretended to play nice with them so he could figure out what they were all about. And it's obvious. It shows. It shows. Russia had its best grain harvest in however many years. I keep forgetting it to look at that again. I mean, Putin was bragging about it. They've harvested most of it. So even if, some locusts showed up, I mean, they're not going to get that much of it. I mean, they've already harvested most of it. So Russia's not suffering right now. Actually, Russia is having an economic boom. Somebody attacked me. Hey, Mandy, good to see you too. Somebody attacked me earlier. I'm glad you caught me live. Whoever said that. Let me see who said that. I got push buttons. Oh, hey, Welsi. Good to see you, man. But yeah, they're not. Russia's not suffering. China's not suffering. China has the biggest gold deposits on Earth, 6,400 tons. Our last recorded was 800 tons, and I don't even think that we even have most of that. Why? Because they don't do an audit of Fort Knox and have not done one since the 70s. So if you believe we still have a bunch of gold, then I think that's, I think that's misinformed. I mean, they stole the rest of the gold that was under that certain complex back in 2001. They stole the rest of the gold, and I bet you most of that's in Europe. But it's okay. It's okay. The Russians and Chinese will take it from them when they overrun Western Europe and colonize the West for themselves. That whole treaty, the entire treaty thing, as I explained in my other live I did called The End of the West, Not the World, I explained how that treaty has been subverted by China to be used against us. It's not going to affect all the signatories on it. People are crazy if they think that, China or Russia is going to give up their sovereignty. That's insane. That's crazy. You will never see that. And that's something I would stake everything on. You will never see foreign troops going into Russia or China. They would never allow that. Russia's at war right now. I mean, even though it's a limited incursion, they're at war with the West right now, with a Western proxy. You think they're going to let foreign international Western troops inside of Russia? You're crazy. You're crazy. That's crazy. What are people thinking? It's like, I have put forth so much hard fact and so much hard evidence over the course of my time on YouTube, and people still just they're not getting it. It's like, look, there's just so many nuances and dynamics to these things. It's not a cut and dry thing. It's not like, okay, well, the Western elites run the whole world. No, they don't. People are forgetting there's different sets of elites, just like there's different mafia families, and they're not even all unified. They're not fully unified. They have business dealings with each other, and they stab each other in the back. That's how mafias do things. They only work together when it suits them. They're not in bed together. They're not allies. They hate each other. But you know what? Even mafia families that hate each other, they go to war with each other, but they'll also even have sit-downs with each other. That's how mafias work. So, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, like you said, Cosa Nostra. It's the same in the criminal realm as it is at the higher levels. Like, the global elites of Russia and China, of the East, they're every bit as wealthy, if not more wealthy, than these Western elites that have silver spoons in their asses and think they're all that, but they're little pansies, they're little weaklings, they got their little soft hands, they ain't worked a day in their lives, but Xi Jinping, he grew up as an ardent, communist worker. I can't stand communism. I hate it. But I hate all the isms. I hate secular humanism. It shits on humanity. It's totally evil. It's totally evil. But you know what? Xi Jinping was exposed to hardships as he, grew up, as he lived his life. Putin too, he's a KGB man. He's had to probably do some real horrible things. Look, these men are warlords. They're not to be, taken lightly. They're also very wealthy, but they're warlords. Like the Western elites are little pansies. Like they're little weaklings. They're little cucks. They're not, look, they're for this, stuff that's going on right now across the West that's not happening in Russia, China, or the rest of the East. You don't see state-sanctioned certain types of parades going on in Russia or in China. You just don't see that. You don't see DQ story hour in their libraries. They don't have that there. And they don't do their green energy stuff. Do you know why? Because China's factories run 24/7 because they're always trying to meet the quota in China. It's always about the quota. The quota never ends. There's always quotas to be met. And it'll continue until Xi Jinping is pleased. They don't care. You're going to work because, in China, they worship that man as if he's some kind of a god. He's probably Satan incarnate, but he's evil. He's evil. He's pure evil. I've shown you the picture of him on his gold and red throne. He is some sort of a principality, if not, the devil incarnate. It might be the Antichrist daddy. I don't know. But I know one thing. China is the most powerful nation on earth. So when the dragon gave his power unto the beast, that could be China giving his power unto the beast. Look, there's not going to be a World Economic Forum. There's not going to be any of that stuff, you guys. Look, when the West is invaded and destroyed and wiped off the map, its elites are going with it. They're going to be humiliated, probably more than anybody else. They're going to be Xi Jinping's footstool, or they're going to be, just used in all sorts of, just ways that mock them, to where they're totally humiliated in front of everybody. They might be forced to push, boulders up mountains to build something for Xi. I don't know. I mean, but they're not going to have it good. I can tell you that, because they're seen as rivals and enemies. Look, some troll came today and said something really dumb, like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. She was like, "Oh, you're a traitor, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. China would invade now." I said, "Have you not watched my work? Are you feeble-minded? Why are you calling me a traitor to what? What am I a traitor to? Why? Because I told the truth? That makes me a traitor? Well, you don't like the truth, so I'm a traitor? Well, like the saying goes, whoever coined it, I guess, they say truth is treason in the empire of lies. So if I'm a traitor to a lie, then good. Good riddance then. I don't want to be for any sort of a lie. I'm going to keep telling the truth. And the truth is that there's two separate sets of elites. There's the Eastern and the Western elites. They're like two rival competing mafia sets, but one is hell-bent on destroying the other, while the other is hell-bent on destroying itself, which is totally counterproductive because they think that they're going to resurrect some sort of a world, order based on Western elitist principles, but that's never going to happen. They have no viable way to do that because, look, there's too many people. They can't control them all. In their mind, they think that they're going to let people kill each other off, so then the rest will come to them for help. But it's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that. It can't happen like that. That's impossible. Because, again, I told you that these people don't believe in cause and effect. There's going to be power vacuums. Different factions are going to rise to fill the power vacuums, like I've shown you diligently in my work, in my Syrian-style internal conflict. Then we get invaded after we've been weakened from all the infighting. Look, that's how it ends. That's how it ends. And China's sitting over there again. Back to China. They're sitting over there building up. They have all their nukes are new and modern. They have new and modern nukes. They have at least 1,000, and again, that's based on the number of silos they've got. Their original silos, plus all the new silos they're building in Xinjiang and Inner Mongolia as well. Also based on the amount of fissile material. I believe it was 22 tons of enriched uranium, and they had about 4 tons of plutonium. That's enough for them to have over 1,000 nukes. But really, let's just be realistic based on the number of silos and maybe the road mobile, and we'll say that it's about 1,000. But 1,000 working nukes that all work? They all work, unlike our arsenal, which is aging and needs replacements. Some of them, to be fair, have been replaced, but they haven't gotten to all of them because we have a woke, depleted, pathetic excuse for a military right now. It's not your father's military, and it damn sure ain't even my military from when I was in. They have gutted our military, they've purged it, they've depleted it, it's weak, it's woke, it's pathetic, it couldn't win a war anywhere if it tried. I mean, my God, it's not even big enough to hold down an area the size of, California, really. I mean, the only reason why the woke military will be able to hold, hey, bud, Turning Guns, good to see you. The only reason why it's going to, like in the internal conflict, why they could hold down certain areas is because they were already globalist-friendly areas like California and like the coast of like Washington and Oregon. And, I said the coast. I didn't even talk about like the mountainy areas. That's where all the, pro-freedom people live at. And, like I put in my documentary, I tried to base every single last solitary detail I put in there off of real life things that exist in real life or would happen in real life. Different ideologies, different everything, different types of leaders, all of it. I put every last detail I could think of in that. So again, I back to China. After all the infighting that will no doubt occur because it's set up to happen that way, once they pull the proverbial trigger on the whole thing, they're going to lose control, just like Bashar al-Assad did in Syria. He was on the ropes. He was about to lose his civil war. He was about to lose his civil war back in 2015. Then Russia, Iran, China, proxies. China came a little later, but Russia, Iran, proxies, they stepped in, and then China stepped in with some logistical help and some advisors and a little bit of spec ops to throw into the mix. They helped Bashar al-Assad regain all his lost territory, minus Idlib. There's still a tiny smidge of fighting in Idlib province, but otherwise, Assad is back in control because he had strong, powerful allies that came to his rescue. Well, the regime here has alienated itself from much of the world. So in an internal conflict, to be real about it, they're not going to have no help. And even if they could, who would help them? The woke allies in Europe? No, that wouldn't happen. They don't have the logistical abilities or the numbers or anything that they would make any sort of a real difference. They're a joke. And I've showed you all how they're a joke in my past videos where I run the numbers. I run numbers. I show people how the numbers work. I show people what's what. And, with raw data, raw facts, figures, things that can't be disputed, that things that refute a lot of the propaganda that's going on out there. Even in the truth community, it's gotten so out of control. People are believing myths and things that just aren't so. And I've diligently researched these things because I'm retired and I have the time to devote to it. So I look into so much, and then I connect all the dots because I'm into analytics. I enjoy that. I enjoy putting puzzles together and make a bigger picture. Well, what I've discovered is that there's two sets of elites. They both have different ideologies and goals, and they're not in it together other than when it's convenient, when it benefits one side or the other to do something. That's when they, collaborate, but it's on very, very few things because there's a lot of different dynamics. Things aren't always what they seem. I'm sure down here at the peon level, people think that everything's cut and dry, but it's not. It's really not. There's a lot of things at work people aren't seeing, and China has, the biggest industrial base. They have the biggest, military industrial base now for the last 5 years. They have more factories. They were some factory building fools. They have enough capacity to build 750 modern battle tanks. Not talking about the old easy to produce ones, which they could have produced swarms of if they wanted to. I'm talking about new tanks with all the advanced computers and ways, targeting systems and lasers and for laser range finding, just and the battle data computers and all of that stuff that's all integrated. And by battle data, I mean similar to like our Blue Force tracker we had when I was in the Army. Data links that are linked up to satellite and all, just everything. China is producing 750 per year of the newer, up-to-date, most modern battle tanks. That is immense. Russia can only produce 250. That's their capacity, 250. That's still more than us, though. Guess what? Last I seen, the last batch of tanks we produced was only 11. 11. We got one tank factory in Lima, Ohio. It's like, man, come on, America. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. We ain't no superpower anymore. And I just get wore out hearing people believe these myths that we're something that we're not. Our economy's based on funny money. Our finances are based on funny money, which is tied to our economy, because it's a market economy. Our entire system is just based on fraud and Ponzi schemes. It's a joke. It's like America's like a cardboard cutout of what it once was. It's not what it once was, and people get that twisted. They think that, America will never change. It'll never lose its power. Wrong. Fail. Like Monograph says, wrong. Fail. It is losing its power. It has lost its power. Hey, data analyst, I'm glad you're here, man. It's lost its power. It's gone, man. For me telling the truth, I think that's about the most, closest thing to patriotism I think that you could call it, even though that I don't endorse this system because it's so evil now. I'm not for any nation. I'm not for, the East. I'm not for them because I warn about them constantly. They're the biggest threat we face. I'm not for the East. I'm not for anything in the West. Look, I just want to live my life and be undisturbed, unbothered by any of these entities, but I know better, and I know that I have to get the warning out because I know exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen because I've lined up the data, I've analyzed the data, I've put the data together, raw facts, figures, stats, capabilities, numbers, all of it together. I have put it together. And I have found that the way it's going to go down is that there's going to be a collapse, food, fuel, economic, financial. Then there's going to be civil unrest, which will turn into internal conflict, just like in Syria. Or, you could compare it even to, some aspects of Yugoslav or African or, even Afghan type of, internal conflicts. Then, all sprinkled together. And then you're going to have the invasion once we're sufficiently weakened and battered from just fighting each other, which will just be the appetizer. This troll told me that I was a traitor for saying what I said about China, even though it's all true, and the woman was a moron, and obviously, doesn't know anything about these topics. So, I booted her, I blocked her and deleted her comment, but she was trolling. So I'm like, okay, so because I told the truth about China and how much of a threat they are, that makes me a traitor? A traitor to who? A traitor to what? You didn't elaborate. What? Please tell me more. She should have said more in the comment. Maybe I would have let her stay if she would have like logically explained herself coherently. But so many of these people are incoherent because they took a certain, poison, that I'll just call it, and their brains are rotting. Their brains are rotting. They're turning into zombies right before us. You see evidence of it all the time. People are everywhere acting like that. They're acting like that online. They're acting like that in public. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. So people that don't have coherent thoughts, they wanna come and bash other people for telling the truth, but all I did was just put down raw facts. I put down raw data and facts in that post I made. So if people have a problem with it, I don't know why they would, but they need to go really think about what they're going to say before they say it. They need to check themselves before they wreck themselves and make themselves look really stupid. So yeah, because China produces 1 billion tons of steel and we produce a measly, 79 million now. It's like last I checked, it was 78, 79 million. That compared to a billion, that's over 11 times more steel than we make. That's like 11.3 times more steel than we produce a year. 11.3 times. And then you throw in Russia, which is pretty close to what we produce. And Russia has half our population. Well, a little bit less, but they have a little less than half our population. And they produce almost as much steel as we do. So if you combine Russia and China, that's 12 times more steel, easily. That's 12 times more steel than we make, and that's both of them together. China alone is 11.3 or so times more steel. So that you put that with their industrial base, the factories they have, their ability to crank out insane amounts of vehicles rapidly. Within a year they can crank out 750 top-notch tanks. Where we have our batch of like 11. They're cranking out up to 750 brand new battle tanks. Just totally decked out with everything you could ever need in a tank. And they have the capacity to produce 400 aircraft a year. So their new stealth bomber, their new H-20, and they have their new stealth fighter. They're the one they've already been mass producing, the J-20. They've got quite a few of those by now, but they also have their J-31 they just came out, which they plan to be a carrier-based aircraft. It's a lot like a miniaturized F-22. Essentially, it's like a reverse-engineered but improved upon F-22. China's got the crown jewels of the West. They have everything we had technology-wise, and they've also improved upon it because the Chinese have their own indigenous twist on things. So they've already stolen all the Western crown jewels back in the 90s, early 2000s. Now they've become factory building fools since then, and they've beefed their factories up to such an extent that they now have a capacity to build 400 aircraft a year and crank out 750 ultra-modern battle tanks a year. Their Type 96Bs and their Type 99As, which are their most up-to-date, very lethal, very, very potent main battle tanks. Even their older tanks that have been upgraded, the Chinese, they take all their older stuff and they upgrade it constantly. Like they take their older stuff and they upgrade it to a point to where it's still plenty lethal. But although it's not like the most modern, it's still lethal. Like for instance, a Type 59D main battle tank, which is the most upgraded version of a Type 59, which is like basically their oldest tank they still have in service. If a Type 59D encounters an Abrams on the battlefield and in a real battle of maneuver where they're actually moving and shooting constantly, if like a uranium shell, a depleted uranium shell, is within, the tank is within 2,000 meters and gets a side hit with a depleted uranium shell, it's going in that Abrams and it's destroying it. It's just, I mean, period. It's destroying it. It's done. So those older upgraded tanks, with coupled with the lethal ammunition, the types of Sabo rounds, their tungsten types of, new Sabo rounds they have. You can go look at my tank video. I have all the like specific stats and technical data listed. The ammo matched with the tank is what makes the tank a lethal tank. So their older tanks are still plenty numerous and still plenty lethal to where they can do us the type of damage that they can do us in a true battle of maneuver and combined arms. We haven't fought a major power since World War II. Well, no, scratch that. Since Korea and World War II. Korea because we fought China. And World War II, because the Chinese helped the North Koreans. They saved North Korea. Without China, there would be no North Korea. So China, this major power, has defeated us in the Korean War, essentially. We didn't win. I guess you could say we didn't really lose. It's a stalemate, but China saving North Korea sort of is a win. It's a win for them because they have a satellite nation, a buffer state. But we saved South Korea. So basically, listen, the Chinese, they're now the world superpower. They're the hegemon. They're the most powerful nation on earth. It's indisputable. The facts don't lie. We have no ability to compete with them industrially, economically, or militarily. They have surpassed us in every single solitary category. And people think that our woke military is still capable of fighting? Nah, man. Nah, you're all crazy, man. What are you thinking? What do you think they can do? Like, really, what are they going to do? They don't have the logistics. They don't have the training. They don't have the professional personnel. They've gutted all their best people. They've purged all their best people. They're now talking about getting rid of another 260,000. That's insane. That's like 8 entire corps, like the unit size corps, like 32,000 men. They're talking about getting rid of 260,000 men for not taking the poison. So our military just keeps getting more and more depleted. How are we we're not a superpower, we're a joke. We're not even a regional power. I bet Mexico could kick our ass the way we're going. Man, it's pathetic. It's a joke. China is the world superpower in real terms, and there's two different sets of elites, that have, like I said, China doesn't give a damn about the West or its elites. They don't care about the Great Reset. They don't give a damn about none of that. Their factories are belching out smog 24/7 because they're meeting the quota in China. They're getting it done. As much as I hate the CCP, and I hate their entire evil ways and what they've tried to do to subvert and destroy us as a people. I got to give them that. They don't ever stop meeting the quota. Work always is going on. They don't ever stop. Everything continues. The quota never ends. Like, they're always cranking things out in China, and it's never going to end. And they're going to destroy us and overrun us because they have the raw numbers to do it. So, yeah, Mexico. Yeah, but they could probably kick our ass right now, Rebecca. We're so pathetic. We're weak. We're such a joke, man. Like, our military can't win anywhere against anybody, really. I don't even know what people are afraid of them for. What are they going to do? They're not big enough, for one thing. They don't have the logistics to do much of anything. I've diligently explained all that. It's getting late and I'm getting tired, but I just wanted to talk about this because it was on my mind. Like, China is the number one threat to us. It's obvious to anybody with eyes to see. Look, I've done the research. I can say it's a fact because I know it's a fact because I've discovered and unearthed facts. I put facts together. They're irrefutable facts. If people don't wake up, then, they're going to get blindsided when they see Chi-Com troops in their neighborhoods and, in their cities, and they're not going to understand how or why it happened. I'm trying to get a warning out. I'm telling the truth. That's all I'm doing because I actually give a shit about the people that I try to warn, people that'll listen, people that have a brain inside their head, they have two brain cells at least they can rub together to realize what a danger that it is we're facing. There's not going to be no Great Reset. Get that out of your minds. World Economic Forum it's a flop. It's going to fail. All the Western elites are going to fail. I've told you all about this time and time and time and time and time again, but I have to keep beating it into people's heads because people aren't seeing the facts like I've seen them. I mean, you got to understand. Look, I've done the research, so of course, it's going to like sort of irk me that people haven't understood it. But that's only because honestly, I'm just a little bit biased because I've done the research, and I forget sometimes that others haven't done the level of research I have and haven't found the things that I've found. But a fact remains. I know what I know, and I know that the Chinese are the number one threat. It's not AI. It's not none of this right now. No, warfare is coming here to this nation. That's the number one threat. It ain't nothing else. It ain't no AI. It ain't no World Economic Forum. It ain't none of that. It ain't these Western elites. Nothing. Look, once they initiate this, they're not going to be able to control it. They're going to fail. There's going to be a power vacuum. Factions are going to arise, just like in Syria. We're not exceptional. We're not different just because we're America. It's going to happen here as well. In fact, it'll be worse here because there's more people and more land. It's drastically bigger than Syria. So you have all kinds of people lurking in the shadows, all kinds of plotters and schemers, trying to do dastardly deeds. Maybe some aren't, but you got others that are, sort of like how I made the National Salvation Revolutionary Front, who represented the secular humanist evil mass murderers, and then you had the Mormon state, who was equally murderous, but they were like psychotic religious freaks, and then you had other different factions. You had Texas become independent. You had Florida become independent, like in a sort of Yugoslav sense. Then you had, you had aspects of African civil war sprinkled in, like limb hacking and other nasty things. Look, it got brutal. All right. If you want to watch that, it's a mixture of storytelling and also the battle maps and also explanations of the economies, atrocities. Because you got to understand, there's a lot of dynamics, just like in everything else. There's dynamics in an internal conflict, and I could tell you all about those. So if you would go watch that, you'll learn a lot, I promise. It's just like my invasion ones, but it's about a civil conflict. It's the second American civil conflict, Syrian style, with factions. So people think America's a superpower, Rebecca, and it's another joke. We're not a superpower. We're a joke. We're a pathetic joke now. We're the laughing stock of the world. Everybody's laughing at us because they know we're weak. They know how weak we are. We're just getting weaker. I mean, it's blatantly, patently obvious. I mean, it should be. It should be understood by now that we've really collapsed. We've really fallen far. We've fallen off the wagon hard, man. It's not a joke, Hey, Jessica. Yeah, they are coming, Jessica. You might like my invasion documentary series. You might like that. Yeah. Up, baby. I'm sorry. Look, it's been on my mind because, I hear people saying crazy things that don't make sense. I just wanted to address it again because it's like, guys, I've broken this down with real facts time and time and time and time and time again. I made old documentaries to illustrate what some of these concepts would look like in real life, like the hybrid war and the internal conflict with factions. Look, I'm trying to educate people the best way I can. I'm taking time out of my life to do this. I don't even have to do this. But I see it as a pressing issue, and I want people to become more effective people and learn how to navigate these things, and know what the real threats are so that they can get through it. Fair enough, right? And I'm very pro self-defense. I'm not with no mamby-pamby nothing. Christianity as a faith is supposed to be a pro self-defense faith, against all evil. It doesn't matter what kind of evil they are, what they come as, representing, whatever. You're supposed to defend yourself from evil, period. That it's been done all throughout the Bible. There's no excuses. You got to defend yourself from evil. There's all sorts of different stories. I've covered them time and time again. I'm not going to go over it all because it is late. It is getting late, and I am going to get off here in a little bit. But I had so many things on my mind I had to address. It's just because I'm seeing so much stuff, and I'm like, man, people are falling for some crazy things. Okay, so it's like, look, I ain't got nothing against nobody for their own opinions or beliefs. Look, I'm just telling you what I know as a fact to be a fact. And the fact is that there's two separate elites. They're not all one and the same. The Western elites do not control the world, but the CCP and the Russian political class elites pretty much will, because they're going to crush and defeat the West, including its elites. They're not escaping judgment. That's part of the judgment. When God judges a nation or a region, you know what he does? He judges it from its highest elites to its lowest bums. So, at least if there's a silver lining in all of it, these elites are going to be humiliated, and they're not going to have a very good, rest of their, miserable lives. So, but it's going to be bad for everybody else, and that's where I come in, trying to help people navigate this stuff. Look, you got to know what the threat is and know what it looks like before you can actually make coherent, survival plans. You can't just intuitively know how to get through a war. You got to sort of have a little bit of a background on it. So that's why I tell people, go watch my documentary series. I have 3 really good ones, and then I have my community tab story review playlist where I dissect some of the stories I wrote, and it's like a cheat sheet almost to show people what the most important things they should have paid attention to when they read the stories. And I'm going to be doing my audiobook soon, God willing. No more interruptions. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on that. I'm going to try and release the first, however many parts. I'm probably going to do it 5 parts at a time. That way it'll take up maybe about an hour per when I do them. And then, that's how I'll do it. And I'll do them as lives, of course. So, so time permits and I'm able to actually read them. And then maybe after that, I might even get off YouTube, because it's getting crazy and I'm getting tired of it. But I'm going to handle my business like I said I would. I don't need nobody telling me how to handle my business. I've got it. I feel like I'm the only man sometimes. I'm the only one really, making an effort to do this, to handle this type of garbage. But again, it's late, I'm getting tired. My mind's kind of wandering to different places. But I've seen a lot of craziness. I had to address it. Some real just crazy stuff today. People aren't making sense out there, y'all. They're just not making sense. And I'm not talking bad about anybody I care about. I'm just talking about people in general. They're just losing their minds, man. They're losing their minds. I don't know what's caused it, but it seems like it happened rather suddenly. It seems like just after a certain date, like this month, everybody just lost their shit. Just went ape shit, went out of their minds crazy. It is what it is, but, China is the biggest threat. Russia's the number 2 threat, but of course they're siding with China. So, we have to be leery of them. They have their own plans for the West. They're going to colonize the West. They've said it out of their own mouths. There's not going to be no, World Economic Forum or nothing. What it'll be probably is the BRICS nations are going to merge into a new reconstituted UN. The current UN as it stands now is subverted by China anyway. So was that treaty. So was that health treaty. It was subverted by China because Tedros is a Chinese shill. He is owned and operated by the CCP. China's doing what's called shaping the battlefield before they invade. It's all strategic. Anything that's going to be done with that treaty has to do with them shaping the battlefield. It's all to weaken us and knock us off keel. It's a new type of warfare. It's called hybrid warfare. They have a setup phase, a setup period. That's what all this is about, you guys. It's not about a great reset or none of that garbage. Most of it's been subverted by China. You got a Chinese mole inside the World Economic Forum, the president of Alibaba, trying to cheer them on about their green energy. China ain't doing no damn green energy. Their factories belch out smoke, but they're in there saying, hey, yeah, green energy, you guys, rock on. Keep doing it. Keep doing your green energy. Yeah. The guy's a CCP plant because he had to swear allegiance to the CCP and to Xi Jinping to become the president of Alibaba, the Chinese Amazon, Chicom Amazon. So he's in there as a mole, as a CCP spy inside the World Economic Forum, cheering them on to do their green energy. Well, why? Because China wants us weak to take over. Duh. Really. It's like, all of this is about shaping the battlefield, man. It's like, come on, man. It's not about a great reset. The Western elites have been duped into thinking that they're going to be able to do their great reset, but China's going to rip them a new one, y'all. They're going to rip them a new one that they'll never forget. Same with Russia. Russia and China, they're going to build their own coalition of the willing, and they're going to create their own UN. The 10 kings in Revelation are the ones who give their power to the beast. They will be 10 Eastern victorious kings post-World War III. There will be no West or its elites or any of that. The little pansies, ain't no warlords. Satan doesn't want his son co-ruling with a bunch of little sniveling punks. Think about it. He wants warlords. He wants Xi Jinping, Putin. He wants, Khan down there in Pakistan. He wants all these, maybe even Modi. In India. He wants warlords. He doesn't want no little sniveling punks. So the beast is going to go and flatter the 10 kings to obtain his power. That's what the Bible says happens. He attains his kingdom through flattery, the beast. So he has no power of his own. So he has to flatter the 10 kings to obtain hard power from them, their military power. And they're going to give it to him. For 1 hour, it says, the 10 kings and the beast reign together for 1 hour. And then it all falls apart again. Why? Because Satan eats his own. Because pride, greed, envy, lust for power always leads to that. Satan just can't help himself. He just always has to eat his own. That's how it works. These Eastern elites are going to eat up the Western elites. I'm telling you all. Don't be duped into thinking that, this Great Reset stuff has any real merit, because it doesn't. I've proven it. I've proven it with hard facts over and over and over and over in past lives, and I've even, mentioned some of them tonight while it was on my mind. So I'm going to end this here in a minute. I'm just going to see who's all in here real quick. Just felt the need to do this. If y'all don't mind hitting the like button, that way people in the morning can see this. That way it'll get out to them. A lot of people don't get my notifications. It would help if you all hit the like button real quick. I mean, it's not a big deal. If you don't want to hit it, don't hit it. But, it would be nice. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So, yeah, thank you. All right, Rebecca. And hey, baby, I see you're here. What are you doing up? What are you doing awake? Huh? What are you doing awake? Data analyst, I'm glad you're here, bro. Oh, man, she did. She said that, and I said I was quitting YouTube. Oh, no. Oh, no. Thank you, Rebecca. I try. I really try to do my part. I really do. I see that. Oh, boy. Yeah, China's brutal, data analysts. They're brutal. They have some ugly plans for the West and its leaders. You should see their old, Korean War propaganda. It's all back in vogue now. They demonize us as banksters and elitists and snakes. You should see it. Literally, that's what the word depicted as. They hate us. They have so much contempt and hatred for us, and it's all going to pour out on us. It's part of the judgment of Babylon, the most vile, wicked, brutal, secular, humanist nation the world's ever seen is going to crush this place. Really, the whole English-speaking world, too. Australia, New Zealand, y'all are going to get occupied by China, too. We're going to get conquered by China, Russia. So is Europe, too. Chinese troops are in Serbia. They're going to help their Russian brethren conquer Europe. Yeah. Well, I'm glad y'all came. Yep. Y'all be blessed. Y'all have a great night. Now I am really going to sleep for real. Good night, y'all.